mirrorless photography. What is mirrorless photography? It's meaningless, isn't it? We've now come to the stage of photography where everybody is a busy, lazy douche, and that's kind of understandable. Nobody has 5 seconds in a day. iPhone camera has gotten pretty good. 12 megapixel sensor. You know, for 98% of everybody, fine. Somebody that's a little less lazy, point and shoot. Okay. Understandable, you know. It has a zoom feature. Okay, I understand why somebody buys a point and shoot. A lot of people are picking on Nikon's, loss statement recently. Nikon's got a... I was reading people talking about Nikon. Every third comment was some knucklehead talking about Nikon needing to come out with a mirrorless camera. Why the hell does Nikon need to come out with a mirrorless camera? Why the hell? Focus peaking? Okay. Video? Oh, okay. I understand about live view. I do. Yeah. Yeah. Electronic viewfinder? Yeah, you know, you do have issues with battery drainage. Mirrorless has been totally disproven. It's not smaller. This is not a small camera. You know, now this camera, if you stick a vertical grip on it, I love the hell out of Fuji. You got 2 batteries in the vertical grip, 1 in the camera. This lens is, there's no such thing as small glass, too. Everybody that says mirrorless is smaller, people, you notice that in the past year, people have stopped saying the BS that mirrorless is smaller, because it's not. The camera's a lot smaller, but the flash, the speed lights are the same, the lenses are the same, they suck a lot more power. They're not ultimately smaller. This is not a small camera. I've said before many times the reason why I own this Fuji is because this is currently the best made current production camera. All magnesium is being made the right way in Japan. Quality second to none on build quality. Absolute pinnacle. People can bitch and moan about processing X-Trans files. I don't care about that. Use Iridiant. Lightroom's gotten a lot better at it, but they're still not as good as Iridiant. What the hell do you think a mirrorless camera is? You think that there's a serious advantage there? I did not buy this camera because it's mirrorless. I have said since day one, without any discrepancy, that mirrorless hype is BS, and mirrorless hype is BS. If Nikon this year, which is their 100th anniversary, rolls out a mirrorless rolls out a full frame, not mirrorless, rolls out a full frame version of the D500, it'll have dual XQD card slots. All it would have to be is like a full frame version of the D500, maybe a hair faster autofocus. I mean, it's already plenty fast. If Nikon rolls that out, I mean, people will be screaming from the streets in orgasmic joy. That's what people want. Everybody tells me, I can't wait for a full-frame version of the D500. Nikon has rolled out a bunch of DX cameras lately. They're long overdue for a full-frame camera. The D5 last year sure as hell didn't count. I mean, that 20-megapixel loser with an optical low-pass filter. That overpriced $6,500 camera is even worse than the D500, especially on image quality. You don't need an optical low-pass or anti-aliasing filter on that damn camera. That camera has nothing over the D500 other than a better insane high ISO performance, and it has a dual processor for autofocus tracking, but its tracking is in no way discernibly better than the D500. No way, not even side by side. So Nikon is long overdue for a full frame. I hear the D750 has been discontinued. I've heard that the D810 has been discontinued, which would be really smart. I'm glad that Nikon dropped the DL line. Those were just stupid abortions of a camera, just an abortion. Nikon should not try to encroach on Sony's marketplace of those little advanced bridge cameras. It was a huge mistake. I said that from day one. Everybody kept saying, what do you think about the Nikon DL cameras? Nikon shouldn't do that crap. Why shouldn't they? Because they shouldn't. There's a lot of reasons why they shouldn't. So somebody at Nikon wised up like, yeah, we shouldn't be making this crap. And they're not going to. Thank God. That would have been a huge money sucker for Nikon. Let's see, what does Nikon make last year that was awesome? The D500. I was the first person making videos on the D500. I told everybody this camera's a legend. You need to buy it, period. Everybody said, oh, you're so full of shit, DX camera. Totally vindicated. Totally was 100% accurate. I was the first person doing reviews on it. When Nikon comes out with a full frame version, it'll probably have dual XQD card slots. Do you think it needs to be mirrorless? If they make a mirrorless, they're going to use the existing lenses. So there's going to have to be a light box. If they make a mirrorless camera, there will have to be a light box on it to make up for that gap distance. Obviously so. I mean, they'll have to be. They could be made as thin as the Fuji, but that creates an issue. Talk about flange distance here, you know. Nikon isn't going to start rolling out new glass for a new mirrorless camera. I mean, that's within Nikon's capabilities, but that's not going to happen. So, if they roll out a mirrorless camera, which will aid a lot in focus peaking and live view and video making, it would have to have a light box in there to make up for the distance on the flange distance. Probably be $4,000, probably $3,800, something like that. I have no idea what the cost is going to be, so don't ask me. It's pure speculation. Mirrorless hype is hype, and it always has been hype. It's not smaller. It's not lighter. You have to pack more batteries. The speed lights are the same. The lenses are all huge. So that's absolute BS. All these people out there that keep accusing Nikon of making a mistake by not making a mirrorless camera, you know, I mean, they're insane. You know, that flappy mirror doesn't really fail. It doesn't. You know what eats up a lot of power? Feeding the electronics to feed that electronic viewfinder on any and every mirrorless camera. Why would Nikon make a mirrorless? I mean, ultimately, why? If they do, that'll be wonderful. They'll appease all the people that want focus peaking. They don't need IBIS. There is a hardcore reason why Fuji and Canon and Nikon don't have IBIS. Hardcore reason. All the people that think that's the future, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Everybody says, oh, Nikon needs IBIS. Fuji needs IBIS. No, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. No, that's the future. That's technology. We need IBIS. No, you think you need IBIS. You're a moron. Nikon and Fuji and Canon doesn't have IBIS for a reason. Mirrorless, though. Is there a reason that you think that Nikon will have a mirrorless camera? There is a good indication from the information that I was given several months ago that Nikon will have a mirrorless camera. That will help a lot in focus peaking, live view, and a few other things for video makers. Wonderful. It's their 100th anniversary. Nikon is going to wow everybody. But if they come out with an RGBW sensor, D500 full-frame version with like dual XQD card slots, it'll have an absolutely totally bottomless buffer. You can hold the shutter down and rock it until the card is just full. It'll have that. It'll have incredible high ISO performance. It will have incredible dynamic range, especially if it's an RGBW sensor. However, that will require a special demosaicing application to install on your computer to interpolate the RGBW sensor raw file. No big deal. No big deal at all. Lightroom will have to adapt to that, but they will do that very quickly also. All the people, if Nikon rolls that out and it's not a mirrorless camera, they're going to be incredibly happy. That's what people want. All the hype that Nikon needs to roll out a mirrorless camera is bullshit. I know the advantages of focus peaking and for video use. WYSIWYG is for pussies, by the way. Everybody talks about, well, what you see is what you get. You know, if you are really, and this is, you better listen close because this is undeniable. It's not my personal opinion. If you bought an expensive camera system like a Fuji X-T2 or, you know, another large DSLR system and you're complaining about WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get, that, this isn't douchebag photography anymore. We're not talking about point-and-shoot cameras and the screen on your iPhone or your Samsung, where you could actually adjust the brightness and you can actually see what the picture is going to be. If you're buying in a camera system like this and you're reliant upon WYSIWYG, then that's an inherent contradiction. That's an inherent. I want to buy a really advanced camera, but I want it to have a total douchebag puss feature on it that lets me see exactly what the picture is going to be like. You're supposed to have some skills. You buy a camera like this, you're supposed to have some damn skills. You're supposed to. It's implied that you have some damn skills. However, it is financially behoovant. I think that actually is a real word. Behoove, and it's behoovant would behoove Nikon and Fuji and everybody else to have those WYSIWYG features, which of course is necessary for mirrorless. You can't do that with a DSLR and a flappy mirror. That way, someone with more money than brains, who doesn't really know jack shit about photography, was like, well, this expensive camera has WYSIWYG, so until I fully figure out how to use a pro DSLR, you know, I will have that WYSIWYG feature. So I know why you would have WYSIWYG on there, but that's like a professional race car driver saying, I need some training wheels on this thing, you know. Aren't you a professional race car driver? Why the hell are you driving around a professional? You know, if you don't have the professional skills, then go back in your frickin' Ford Escort. So, the people that talk about WYSIWYG advantage on a professional level mirrorless camera, those people are idiots. They're idiots. I never pay attention to the WYSIWYG on the EVF of my Fujifilm. It's not all that accurate, and I always ignore it. Always ignore it. You have to be able to intuit what's going on with your exposure comp and your exposure. In aperture priority and a special manual. The first thing I do on the Fujifilm, on my second Fujifilm, is I turned off preview exposure in manual mode. I don't want to preview the exposure. I don't want that. I don't need it. It's no good. It's useless, especially useless, totally useless in flash photography. You can't preview flash photography. You know what? You know how well WYSIWYG works, whether it's a Sony or a Fujifilm? Do you know how well WYSIWYG works in flash photography? Let me see if you know the answer to that question. Tell me how well WYSIWYG works in flash photography. Whether it's aperture priority or program or manual mode, how well does it work? It does not work at all. Zip, zilch, zero, nada, nothing. Doesn't work at all. Most professional photography is flash photography. And all flash photography is 100% useless in WYSIWYG. That feature is useless. You pop a flash with a mirrorless camera, WYSIWYG is absolutely effing useless. Doesn't tell you anything. It can't tell you anything. It's impossible. That technology will never exist. It doesn't exist now, and it never will exist. And the one thing that I keep having to drill home is people say, oh, you used to hate mirrorless. No, I hate the hype of mirrorless. I didn't change my mind on mirrorless. I own the Fujifilm because this camera is that damn good. It's not smaller. This is a big bulky camera. It's got 3 batteries on it. The speedlight on it is actually bigger than Nikon speedlight. This is a big ass heavy camera. It's got 3 batteries and a honking ass lens on it right now. I can tell you what right now, this what I'm holding in my hand is not lightweight. Absolute frigging hype. Mirrorless hype. Why does Nikon's smarter than that. People love the hell out of the D500, and if Nikon rolls out a regular flappy mirror D820 or D850, whatever the hell they're going to call it, D780 or whatever they're going to, who cares? Dual XQD card slots? Wow. Amazing high ISO performance? Wow. Amazing dynamic range? Wow. Nikon will sell the crap load out of them. Mirrorless or not. All these people say, Nikon, you're really fucking up. You don't make mirrorless cameras and you're just losing out on market share. Nikon need to make mirrorless. I mean, that's the new thing. Nikon, why aren't you making mirrorless? Why aren't you making mirrorless? Mirrorless. Mirrorless. Nikon, you're fucking up. Why you got no mirrorless camera? Shut the hell up. Absolute nonsense by brain-dead idiots that don't know what they're talking about. Thank you for watching. This was my rant. And it was a logical one, too. Bye.